So you proposed last year. You guys were dating for 3 years.
Yes.
And then the wedding next summer.
Yes.
That's awesome, dude. Good for you guys. Damn, you guys work together, live together. Now you guys are engaged, getting married. Sounds like you guys have life like set. Sounds pretty good.
I mean, that's what you think, but like, there's been trials and tribulations.
Sure,
Absolutely.
of course,
Man,
of
like,
course.
it seems like it was smooth sailing, but 3 months into dating, she had Lyme disease. As I mentioned, we had this crazy mold situation when we moved to Miami that threw everything upside down. Nicole can touch on it, but basically what happened is in Brickell, we were in a brand new,
Brickell Flatiron.
really nice
was
building.
there.
Yeah,
Whew.
Flatiron building just got up. It was like a year old. We moved into this awesome 2-bedroom. And essentially within 6 months, Nicole started getting some of her old symptoms back. I started getting sick a little bit more. I wasn't really sure what was going on. She ended up getting a test done to see if she had mold or mycotoxins in her body. She came back positive for, I think, 2 strains that were like sky high. So then our next step was, where are these coming from? Is it coming from our environment, our apartment? So we mold tested our home, came back sky high with those same strains. And that's when we knew that like our home was making us sick.
Fuck.
So it put us down this whole rabbit hole of diving into environmental health, mold toxicity, 15 doctors, scheduling calls, trying to see like what was our best move. And mostly everyone was like, you got to get out of there. You're not going to get better if you're in this place.
Yeah, of course.
And for me, I wasn't as sick as Nicole, so it was a huge trial in our relationship.
It was like the biggest test in our relationship
so far
sure.
that we've had, because at one point she had decided she needed to move out. And I was still in the mindset that I love this place. I'm happy here. Why should I sacrifice my, this great spot that we have for essentially her health? It was a huge challenge. And on top of that, doctors were recommending that we had to get rid of all of our stuff too. Because if we brought all of our clothes, shoes, bags, that would recontaminate our new environment, which we actually looked into. And it happens a lot. Very often people leave a moldy place with their moldy stuff. And then
it tracks.
And it just tracks because it lives on clothes, anything that has like leather, canvas, anything that's porous, right? So the only things we could really keep were like laptop and cell phone and like metal stuff. And I was like, to wrap my head around that,
that's crazy.
was insane. And at one point I was like, do I want to do this? Is this the right relationship for me? Like, do I want to actually give up my apartment, my lease, all my things? Like, is this worth it? So it created a huge gap in our relationship that, was
hard.
A huge trial.
It was hard because I think now mold like is the biggest offender. And now I'm so educated on it that I always test my clients for it. And it's been the root cause for a lot of my clients. Sure. So if anyone's listening, please make sure that you're keeping that into consideration. If you have like brain fog, neurological stuff, if you feel worse in your house, then if you leave and you go on vacation and you feel so much better than when you're in your home, like you have to look into mold because it changed my life once I really got to know all about this. But yeah, it was like the biggest test because I, on the other hand, was like, do I choose my health or my relationship? I actually had to sit and think like, do I choose getting better or do
3
I
months
leave
together at this point?
No, you guys were together for a little bit longer.
This is 2 years in. This
2 years.
I mean, that's a big commitment then.
This is 2021, I think.
Yeah. Oh, you guys have been together.
We
You
weren't
guys were together
engaged.
together.
We were dating.
Sure.
Yeah, we were seriously dating at this point.
Yeah. But also, so this was worse than, because you were saying the Lyme disease at an early stage on, you guys overcame that.
Yeah, so that was like our first.
That was at the beginning.
That was our first big hurdle.
3 months in.
In the beginning.
That was 3 months.
And Manoli was legitimately carrying me on the streets, like taking me to hospitals. Like it was like he was really there for me. And we were like, okay, we got over this. This is great. And then once those symptoms resurfaced 2 years later in this new apartment, this was our first apartment together. We were like decorating it and it was like this happy thing. And then I was like, something's really wrong. Like I do not feel right. So.
Jesus,
So wait, what was the solution? What was the conclusion there?
So
no, but like for them,
yeah,
because he was like, "Oh, fuck you, I don't want to leave," and
For
she's
me,
like,
No,
"I'm
well,
dying."
we started butting heads. Like we were
Yeah, yeah.
fighting. Like we never really fought, but we were like pissed at each other because I didn't get like why he wouldn't want to like do this. I was understanding that he would have to throw his stuff out, but I was thinking like you're still like a little sick too. Like this would help both of us. But yeah, it was a huge ask for him, obviously.
Yeah, so essentially what happened was I kind of saw it going in 2 routes. One was that we lived separately, we still dated, and Nicole got better in her new environment, and I kind of stayed in our Brickell Flatiron apartment.
Yeah, but like
which was already, well, you guys were already doing that. Like,
no, we lived together.
We were living together in that apartment.
right, but before that,
Yeah, we were living separately.
Okay, so just back to
I didn't really feel great like going backwards though. Like I felt like we had lived together. We were if we had moved out and lived separately,
Taking a
like
step
what's
back.
the logistics of him coming over, like his like moldy stuff he's gonna bring his
the
it got
pores
really
and all that stuff like
finite.
that.
Yeah, it got really
True,
finite.
true,
My
yeah.
doctor's like, you're gonna do all this work, you're gonna throw out all your stuff, and then if your partner's not gonna,
But this guy just fucking get you sick again. Piece of shit.
Yeah, just show up with his moldy
know.
clothes.
Yeah, moldy.
You can't go over.
I'm like, I'm gonna spray him down before
Yeah,
he comes.
we're-
Like it was like he had to be on board with me. Like he had to move
So
forward with me.
something had to give.
Yeah.
No, he had to.
Well,
Yeah,
or the
man,
relationship
like,
could have
I-
ended.
Or
I
that.
was literally at the point where it's like my relationship is in my hands right now. It's either I'm going to choose her, I'm going to choose myself and my things. And at that point, I started a kind of a spiritual journey where I was learning a lot about the ego and how your ego can get attachment to physical things.
Eckhart Tolle. Do you guys know
Eckhart
him?
Tolle. If
No.
what's the book called?
The Power of Now.
The Power of Now.
You
It's an
guys
awesome
have to
book.
read that
It's a
book.
game changer, right?
Have to
So
read that book.
Write that
it
shit
put me
down.
in touch with this concept of ego, and I realized that the reason I didn't want to let my things go.
The Power of Now.
Keep
Yeah.
going. We're listening. We're
So
listening.
it's
Yeah,
a
I'm just
life-
typing it up so I don't
It's a
forget later.
life-changing book,
All right,
honestly.
I'm sorry.
So the reason I didn't want to let my things go is because my ego was attached to them, because I had spent hard-earned money and hours working to gain those nice clothes, those suits, those shoes, all those things that I
you
cared.
picked out, that
yeah,
you
and
liked,
that I bought on my
fit you
trip
good.
in Colombia or in Greece, and I was like, those things have meaning. They're sentimental,
I
right?
can
So
see that.
my ego was attached to that stuff. And I saw this I was reading that book at like the best time in my life to be reading it. And I realized that this was a chance, an opportunity for me to actually shed my ego, let all that stuff go and start fresh and not be attached to things. And I'm not like a materialistic guy, but like I like nice things, right?
Sure.
So like for me to let go of all that was super hard from a financial perspective, from an emotional perspective. And then like I asked some of my friends, and like they were like, dude, that's crazy, you're actually gonna do that? And I was like, I'm at this point where it's like either like my things or my relationship. So I said, you know what, let's try this out. Let's at least put my things in storage for 6 months. Let's go into this new mold-free environment, and maybe at one point down the road, I could bring them back and reintroduce some of my favorite things, expensive suits, all that stuff. And that's kind of how we found this middle ground. So I did have to give it at the end.
Yeah, we just had this really big talk. I remember it clearly, and we just hashed it out. And he was just like, I choose our relationship. Like, I choose you, and we're going to do it together. And our relationship has not been the same since. Like, everything we do now is just like in such a together mindset, because I think sometimes people in relationship, it's like me versus you. Like, I feel like you're not thinking in like a together mindset. So I just feel like once you look at your partner as someone who's on your side, like it's a game changer,
Did you feel a little bit guilty for wanting to kind of?
A little. You got it now?
I'm good. Do you feel like a little bit? Did you at the time feel a little bit guilty for wanting to kind of hold on to that? Because you were like, damn, why should I give up all that stuff
For sure.
her? But you were together for 2 years. Subconsciously, would you have felt a little bit of guilt?
For sure. I
Wanting
mean,
to put
part of me
yourself
felt
first?
selfish for like, wanting to keep all those things. But then part of me was also like, damn, like I worked hard. I was validating it. I was like, I worked hard. I busted my ass in my last job to be able to afford those things, right? So for me, I was finding ways to validate it and essentially feeding my ego. And when I was able to see this as a challenge, like a spiritual challenge, to shed my materialistic mindset and to let go of my things and start fresh and see if I could be happy with, a minimal start, I saw that as an opportunity. I switched my mindset, and then I went into it. And now on the other side of it, like this was like over a year ago now, I have such a healthier relationship with my ego and my things too. Like I view clothes and stuff not as a necessity, not as a thing that makes me happy now.
Yeah.
Like before I used to go shop and like that would make me happy. I was using it as like a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
But now it's more just like, this is like a bonus. This is a nice to have. But I don't need these things to feel good about myself.
I
That-
like that.
that was the
That's
shift.
so awesome for you. I'm super happy for you guys, because I feel like that even strengthened because going through those troubles even strengthened your relationship.
Did.